Have you been watching March slip away and wondering if you have already missed your chance to get your spring garden started? That nagging feeling that you are falling behind is something every gardener knows, and the truth is, for some of these crops, the window really is closing fast. But do not worry, because after growing vegetables for over 2 decades, I know exactly which crops you should be putting in the ground right now to get the biggest, most productive harvest this year. Today, I am sharing 10 of the most productive vegetables everyone must plant in March. Stick around for number 8, because it is one of the highest yielding crops you can grow, and most people do not think of it as a March vegetable. And I have got a bonus tip at the end that is going to supercharge every single thing you plant this month. First up on our list is peas, and if you only plant one thing in March, make it this. Peas are the ultimate cool season crop, and March is their absolute sweet spot. They need to go in the ground while the soil is still cool, between 40 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit, because once summer heat arrives, peas shut down and stop producing. That means March is not just a good time to plant peas, it is essentially now or never for most of the country. And here's the thing about peas that makes them so special for this list. They are shockingly productive in a small space when you grow them vertically. A single 4-foot row of peas trained up a trellis can produce pounds and pounds of sweet, crisp pods over a harvest window of 3 to 4 weeks. Sugar Snap is the gold standard variety for eating fresh because the entire pod is sweet and edible. Snowwind and Oregon Sugar Pod are excellent flat-podded snow pea types that are incredibly prolific. Green Arrow and Lincoln are outstanding shelling pea varieties if you prefer traditional English peas. Plant seeds about 1 inch deep and 2 inches apart along a trellis, fence, or simple string. Support system. Peas grow well in USD. A zones 3 through 9 during the cool season. In zones 3 through 5, early to mid-March is your window. Zones 6 and 7, get them in by mid-March. Zones 8 and 9, early March or even late February, is ideal to beat the heat. One of the beautiful things about peas is that they fix nitrogen from the air into the soil through a symbiotic relationship with beneficial bacteria on their roots. That means they actually improve your garden soil while producing food for you. In about 60 to 70 days, you will be harvesting handfuls of sweet, crunchy pods every single day, and I promise you, the flavor of a garden fresh pea eaten straight off the vine is one of the most magical experiences in all of food gardening. The second vegetable you absolutely must get in the ground this March is lettuce. And when it comes to pure productivity relative to effort, lettuce is almost impossible to beat. A single planting of loose-leaf lettuce can have you harvesting fresh salad greens in as little as 30 days from sowing, and it will keep producing for weeks and weeks using the cut and come again method. That means you pick the outer leaves, the plant keeps growing new ones from the center, and you come back a few days later for another harvest. One small bed, or even a few containers, can produce more fresh lettuce than a family can eat. March is the ideal planting time because lettuce thrives in cool weather, performing best between 55 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit. When summer heat arrives, lettuce bolts, turns bitter, and the party is over. So getting it in the ground now gives you the longest possible harvest window before the warm weather shuts things down. Red Sails is one of my all-time favorite varieties because it is gorgeous, productive, and slow to bolt. Black-seeded Simpson is another outstanding choice that grows fast and produces generously. Buttercrunch gives you beautiful, tender little butterhead heads that are an absolute treat. For maximum productivity, succession plant every 2 to 3 weeks through March and into April. Each new sowing extends your harvest window and ensures you always have fresh greens coming in. Direct sow seeds about a 1/4 inch deep in moist soil, or start transplants indoors under a light and set them out when they have a few true leaves. Lettuce grows in USDA zones 2 through 10 during the cool season and tolerates partial shade, which means it can tuck into spots in your garden that are too shady for other crops. The flavor difference between fresh-picked lettuce from your March garden and that tired plastic wrap stuff from the grocery store is honestly staggering. It is crisper, sweeter, more alive, and once you experience it, you will never want to go back. Number 3 on our list is potatoes. And this is where we start talking about serious productivity. A single potato plant can produce 5 to 10 potatoes, and a small, 10-foot row can yield 20 to 40 pounds of food. That is an extraordinary amount of calories and nutrition from a very modest amount of garden space, and it all starts with a March planting. Potatoes need cool soil to get established, but a long growing season to develop full-size tubers, which makes March the perfect time to get them started in most zones. Purchase certified seed potatoes from a garden center rather than using grocery store potatoes, which may be treated with sprout inhibitors. Cut them into chunks with at least 2 eyes per piece and let the cut sides dry for a day or two to form a protective callus. Plant them about 4 inches deep and 12 inches apart in loose, well-draining soil. As the plants grow, mound additional soil, straw, or compost around the stems. This process, called hilling, encourages the plant to produce more tubers along the buried stem. Potatoes grow well in USDA zones 3 through 10. In zones 3 through 5, plant in mid to late March, after the soil has thawed and dried out enough to work. Zones 6 and 7, early to mid-March, is ideal. Zones 8 and above, you may plant even earlier, but March still works perfectly. Yukon Gold is my top recommendation for beginners because it is reliable, productive, and has that gorgeous buttery flavor and creamy texture that works for everything from mashing to roasting. Red Pontiac is a beautiful thin-skinned variety that is wonderful boiled or in potato salads. Kennebec is a classic all-purpose potato that stores beautifully. In about 70 to 100 days, depending on the variety, you will be digging up a treasure trove of homegrown potatoes that taste leagues better than anything from the store. There is honestly no other moment in gardening quite like plunging your hands into the soil and pulling out potato after potato. It feels like finding buried treasure every single time. Now, what I have been sharing with you so far is really just the foundation. I put together a complete guide that lays the whole thing out for you. It is called the 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol, and it is everything I have learned about regrowing food from scraps, organized into a simple day-by-day plan you can start this week. It covers which scraps are genuinely worth your time and which ones to skip. It walks you through the exact setup and methods so you are not guessing. And it includes a full 30-day calendar, so you know exactly what to do each day. Click the link in the description right below this video, just scroll down a little and you will see it. Or if you are watching on a television or a computer screen, you can take out your phone, open up your camera like you're going to take a picture, and hold it up to the QR code on screen right now. A little link will pop up at the top of your phone screen. Just tap that, and it will bring you right to the guide. No typing, no searching. Either way works. I think you'll be glad you grabbed it. All right, let us keep going, because we have got 7 more incredibly productive vegetables that need to go in the ground this month. The 4th vegetable that must go in your March garden is spinach. And for the amount of nutrition you get per square foot of garden space, spinach might be the single most valuable crop on this entire list. Spinach is an absolute cool season champion. It germinates in soil as cool as 35 degrees Fahrenheit, laughs at light frosts, and produces dense, nutrient-packed leaves at a pace that will genuinely surprise you. A single 4 by 4 foot bed of spinach can produce enough fresh greens to fill your salads, smoothies, omelets, and sauté pans for weeks on end. And like lettuce, spinach works beautifully with the cut and come again method, so one planting keeps producing over an extended period. March is the prime planting window because spinach bolts quickly once temperatures climb above 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Every day you wait is a day of harvest you lose on the back end. Bloomsdale Longstanding is a classic variety that lives up to its name with excellent bolt resistance. Thai is another outstanding choice that is reliable, vigorous, and resistant to downy mildew. Space is another compact, high-yielding variety bred specifically for intensive gardening. Direct Sow. Seeds about ½ inch deep and 2 inches apart in rich, moist soil with full sun. In USDA zones 3 through 6, sow as soon as the ground is workable in March. Zones 7 through 9, get it in early March before the warm weather arrives. Spinach appreciates consistent moisture and a little afternoon shade as temperatures start to rise. The nutritional profile of fresh-picked spinach is genuinely extraordinary. It is loaded with iron, calcium, vitamins A, C, and K, folate, and a range of antioxidants. And the flavor and texture of spinach harvested minutes ago from your own garden compared to that slightly slimy stuff in the plastic clamshell at the store is a completely different experience. Once you taste the real thing, you will understand why Popeye was so passionate about it. Coming in at number 5, we have got radishes, and these little powerhouses earn their spot on this list by being the fastest producing vegetable you can plant in March, hands down, from seed to harvest in as little as 25 days. That means if you plant radishes on the 1st of March, you could be eating them before April even begins. For a new gardener who needs to see results fast to build confidence, or for an experienced gardener who wants to make the most efficient use of garden space, radishes are pure gold. Cherry Bell is the classic round red radish that everybody pictures, and it is a fantastic performer. French breakfast is a beautiful, elongated variety with a milder flavor that is perfect for snacking. Watermelon radish, while it takes a bit longer at about 50 to 60 days, produces stunningly beautiful roots with a green exterior and bright pink interior that are as gorgeous on the plate as they are delicious. Direct sow seeds about ½ inch deep and 1 inch apart in the garden. Thin seedlings to 2 inches apart once they are about an inch tall. Radishes prefer full sun and cool temperatures, growing in USDA zones 2 through 10 during the spring. The most critical thing with radishes is harvesting on time. Pull them when they're about 1 inch across at the soil line. If you leave them too long, they get woody, pithy, and unpleasantly hot. Because radishes are so fast, you can use them as a companion crop with slower vegetables. Plant them between rows of carrots or alongside broccoli transplants. The radishes will be harvested and gone before the other crops need the space, effectively giving you a free bonus crop from the same garden bed. Radishes are wonderful sliced into salads, eaten with butter and sea salt in the French tradition, roasted until caramelized and sweet, pickled, or sliced onto tacos. Do not toss the greens either. Radish tops are completely edible and delicious sautéed with a little garlic. That is 2 harvests from 1 tiny seed planted in March. The 6th vegetable everyone must plant in March is kale, and the productivity of kale over a full season is genuinely hard to overstate. A single kale, plant started in March, can produce harvests from spring all the way through fall and even into winter. That is 8 to 9 months of continuous food production from one planting. Very few vegetables can match that kind of longevity. Kale is also remarkably tough. It handles frost, light freezes, and the wild temperature swings that March is famous for without missing a beat. In fact, cold temperatures make kale taste better because the plant converts starches to sugars as a natural defense mechanism, sweetening the leaves noticeably after a frost. Red Russian kale has beautiful purple-tinged flat leaves with a mild, slightly sweet flavor that is wonderful in salads and smoothies. Lacinato kale, also called dinosaur kale or Tuscan kale, has dramatic dark blue-green, bumpy leaves with a rich, earthy flavor that is outstanding in soups, braises, and pasta dishes. Winterbore is a classic curly kale that is incredibly hardy and productive. Start kale seeds indoors about 6 weeks before your last frost date, which means early March in many zones, or direct sow in the garden in mid to late March in zones 6 and warmer. Space plants about 18 inches apart in rich, well-amended soil with full sun to partial shade. Kale grows in USDA zones 2 through 10 and is one of the most adaptable and forgiving crops you can grow. Harvest by picking the lower outer leaves and letting the central growing point continue to push out new growth. Each time you harvest, the plant responds by producing more. Over the course of a season, a single kale plant can produce many pounds of incredibly nutritious greens. Kale is loaded with vitamins A, C, and K, calcium, iron, and powerful antioxidants. It is a genuine superfood that you can grow almost effortlessly, and March is exactly the right time to get it started. Number 7 is carrots, and the productivity of a well-managed carrot bed is something that genuinely surprises a lot of people. You can fit 16 carrots per square foot of garden space when properly spaced, which means a single 4 by 8 foot raised bed can produce over 500 carrots in one growing season. That is an absurd amount of food from a very small footprint, and it all starts with a March planting. Carrot seeds need cool, moist soil to germinate, and they can take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks to sprout. March gives you exactly the right conditions, cool temperatures and spring moisture, to get germination off to a strong start. If you wait until the soil warms up too much, germination becomes spotty and unreliable. Nantes varieties are my top recommendation for home gardeners because they produce sweet, tender, cylindrical roots that are perfect for fresh eating. Danvers are shorter and more tapered, making them a great choice if your soil is heavier or your beds are shallower. Scarlet Nantes and Bolero are both outstanding specific varieties. Direct sow seeds about a 1/4 inch deep in loose, rock-free soil. If your native soil is heavy clay, grow carrots in a raised bed filled with a loose blend of potting soil and sand. Keep the soil consistently moist during that long germination window. Once the seedlings emerge, thin them to about 2 inches apart. This thinning step is critical because crowded carrots produce stunted, misshapen roots. Carrots grow in USDA zones 3 through 10 and mature in about 70 to 80 days depending on the variety. A March planting means you are pulling gorgeous, sweet, homegrown carrots by late May or June. The flavor of a fresh, pulled carrot, still cool from the earth, is sweet, crunchy, and vibrant in a way that store-bought carrots simply cannot match. Roast them, eat them raw with hummus, shred them into salads, add them to soups and stews, or just enjoy that incredible snap and sweetness straight from the garden. The 8th vegetable on our list is beets. And this is the one I mentioned at the start that most people do not associate with high productivity, but should. Beets are one of the few vegetables that give you 2 completely distinct harvests from a single planting. You get the beautiful, sweet, earthy roots, and you get the incredibly nutritious greens. That 2-for-1 factor makes beets one of the most space-efficient crops you can grow, and March is the ideal time to get them in the ground. Beets are cold tolerant and actually prefer cool growing conditions, performing best between 50 and 65 degrees Fahrenheit. They can handle light frosts without any damage, which makes them perfect for the unpredictable weather that March throws at you. Detroit. Dark red is the classic variety with deep red flesh and reliable performance. Chioggia is absolutely stunning with alternating red and white rings inside, like a natural candy stripe. Golden beets have a milder, sweeter flavor, and they do not stain everything they touch like red varieties do. Direct sow seeds about 1/2 inch deep and 2 inches apart. Here is something a lot of people do not realize. Each beet seed is actually a cluster of multiple seeds, so you will almost always need to thin the seedlings once they sprout. Thin to about 3 to 4 inches apart for full-sized roots, or leave them a bit closer for baby beet harvests. Beets grow in USDA zones 2 through 10 and mature in about 50 to 60 days for the roots. The greens can be harvested even earlier, snipping a few outer leaves from each plant while the roots continue to develop below. Beet greens are loaded with vitamins A, C, and K, iron, and potassium. They are absolutely delicious sautéed with garlic and a splash of vinegar, added to frittatas or tossed into salads when young and tender. The roots are wonderfully versatile too. Roast them until caramelized and sweet, pickle them, shred them raw into salads, blend them into smoothies for a gorgeous color and earthy sweetness, or make classic borscht. A March planting of beets gives them the cool conditions they crave and gets roots to harvest before summer heat pushes them to become tough and woody. For the amount of total food you get from the space they occupy, beets are one of the most productive March crops you can grow. Number 9 is broccoli, and March is absolutely critical for this crop because broccoli needs to develop its head during cool weather. If you plant too late and the weather turns hot before the head forms, the plant will bolt and flower prematurely, and you will lose your harvest entirely. That makes March a now or never window for spring broccoli in most parts of the country. And when conditions are right, broccoli is remarkably productive. A single plant produces a large central head that can weigh a pound or more. But here's the part that most people do not know, and it is the reason broccoli is on this list. After you cut the main head, do not pull the plant. Leave it in the ground, keep watering and feeding it, and it will produce a steady stream of smaller side shoots for weeks, sometimes months afterward. Those side shoots are tender, delicious, and they effectively double or even triple your total harvest from each plant. Start broccoli transplants indoors in early March if you have not already, or buy transplants from a garden center and set them out in mid to late March once the soil is workable. Waltham-29 is a reliable heirloom variety known for excellent side shoot production. Green Magic is a high-performing hybrid that produces beautiful, uniform heads. Calabrese is another outstanding choice. Space plants about 18 inches apart in rich, well-amended soil with full sun. Broccoli is a heavy feeder, so work compost into the soil before planting and side dress with a balanced organic fertilizer every few weeks. It grows in USDA zones 3 through 10 during the cool season and prefers temperatures between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. In about 60 to 80 days from transplanting, you will harvest that glorious main head. Then the side shoots start coming, and they keep coming for a long time if you keep the plant healthy and well watered. Between the main head and the side shoots, a single broccoli plant can produce 2 to 3 pounds of food over its lifetime. The flavor of fresh garden broccoli, especially those tender side shoots, is sweeter, more complex, and more satisfying than anything you have ever bought in a bag at the store. The 10th and final vegetable that everyone must plant in March is Swiss chard, and I saved this one for last because it is the single longest producing crop on this entire list. A Swiss chard plant started in March will produce continuously from spring all the way through fall and in mild climates, even into winter. That is potentially 8 to 10 months of harvest from one planting, one spot in your garden, one plant. No other vegetable on this list can match that kind of sustained productivity. Swiss chard is a member of the beet family, but it is grown for its large, beautiful leaves and colorful stems rather than its roots. The rainbow or bright lights variety is the one I recommend most often because it produces a stunning mix of red, orange, yellow, pink, and white-stemmed leaves that make your garden look like a living painting. Ford Hook Giant is a classic with thick white stems and dark green leaves that is incredibly vigorous. Rhubarb chard has deep crimson stems that are absolutely gorgeous. The real magic of Swiss chard is its heat tolerance. While lettuce and spinach bolt and become bitter when summer temperatures climb, Swiss chard just keeps going. It handles heat, cold, and everything in between without flinching. That means your March planting will produce right through the hottest part of summer when most other greens have given up, making it an invaluable source of fresh, leafy greens during the months when your garden has the fewest other options. Direct sow seeds about 1/2 inch deep and 6 inches apart. Or start transplants indoors and set them out in mid to late March. Swiss chard grows in USDA zones 3 through 10 and is remarkably low maintenance. It prefers full sun, but tolerates partial shade, and it handles a wide range of soil types as long as drainage is decent. Harvest the outer leaves by cutting or snapping them off at the base, leaving the central growing point intact to keep producing. Each harvest stimulates new growth, so the more you pick, the more you get. Swiss chard is packed with vitamins A, C, and K, magnesium, potassium, and iron. The leaves are wonderful, sautéed with garlic and olive oil, added to soups and stews, mixed into frittatas, layered into lasagna, or eaten raw in salads when young and tender. The colorful stems can be cooked separately like a mild, slightly sweet vegetable, almost like a more delicate celery. For a single crop planted in March that keeps your kitchen supplied with fresh, nutritious, beautiful greens for the better part of a year. Nothing beats Swiss chard. All right, now here's a bonus tip that is going to change the game for everything you plant this month. Most gardeners treat March planting as a one-time event. You go out, put your seeds and transplants in the ground, and you are done. But the gardeners who get the most productivity out of their March gardens do something different. They succession plant. Succession planting simply means sowing a new round of seeds every 2 to 3 weeks instead of planting everything all at once. This is especially powerful for fast-maturing crops like lettuce, spinach, and radishes. When you plant everything on the same day, everything is ready to harvest at the same time, and you end up with way more than you can eat in a week. Then, you have nothing. But when you stagger your plantings, you get a steady, continuous harvest that keeps producing fresh food over a much longer window. Start your first sowing in early March, do another round in mid-March, and another at the end of March. Keep going into April if your climate allows. Each round matures at a different time, giving you a reliable pipeline of fresh vegetables rather than one overwhelming glut followed by nothing. This one simple technique can easily double or triple the total amount of food you harvest from the same amount of garden space. It costs you nothing but a few extra minutes every couple of weeks, and the results are genuinely transformative. Thanks for sticking around to the end. If you want to stop guessing and start a scrap garden that actually keeps producing week after week, I would really encourage you to check out the guide I put together. It is called the 30-Day Kitchen Scrap Garden Protocol, and it is everything I have learned about regrowing food from scraps, organized into a simple day-by-day plan you can start this week. It covers which scraps are worth your time and which ones to skip entirely. It gives you the exact setup and method so nothing goes to waste. And it includes the full 30-day calendar with daily tasks so you always know what to do next. There are 2 easy ways to grab it. The first is to click the link in the description right below this video. Just scroll down a little and you will see it. The second way, if you are watching on a television or a computer screen, is to take out your phone, open up your camera like you are going to take a picture, and hold it up to the QR code on screen right now. A little link will pop up at the top of your phone screen. Just tap that, and it will bring you right to the guide. No typing, no searching, either way works. I think it is the best investment you can make in your kitchen garden this year. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.